Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here another review. I just recently got done watching Bodies, the new A24 film. A24 is kind of a hit or miss company with people. They've made some stuff I really enjoy, and then stuff I really don't care, and stuff that I'm just kind of like, I like it, but it's not great. I would say overall I like more of their stuff than dislike it. They pretty much make art house films, is what they make. Films where they're one thing, but at the same time they're meant to be like a metaphor for something else. Not all their films are like that. This one, Bodies really isn't. This film seems genre confused, like it's trying to be multiple different things at the same time, to be honest. But yeah, most of their stuff is kind of art house stuff. Like, I believe they did Hereditary and Midsommar and stuff like that. Like, Hereditary I liked. It was a good, pretty much metaphor for, like, mental illness and trauma being passed down from family members to children or whatever. It was 3 out of 4 for me. Good for what it was, but at the same time, the thing with art house movies is they have to have an interesting plot on top of what they're trying to be a metaphor for. That way you will try to pay attention to what's going on and be interested in what's going on. Otherwise they just become chaos, like the movie Mother, where there was really no plot and it was just random stuff used to make metaphors for what the director was trying to say. With Hereditary, the plot that they actually give us, not take like to try to get us interested to dissect the metaphors, really isn't that interesting. It was just a kind of a token devil plot that ended the same way as like most of like horror movies about devil worshippers do, where the cult wins in the end or whatever, and the dude gets possessed by Satan or whatever, and that's pretty much it. Same thing happens in almost every devil cult movie. Like, God never shows up, devil wins, and that's it. They're almost all the same, and that's what bores me about those movies. Like, no matter how artistically well shot your movie is, and Hereditary was well directed, so was Midsommar, you're not really showing me anything interesting in this devil cult plot that I really haven't seen before. The metaphors and stuff for what you're going for are good, but the plot itself that you're trying to use to show those metaphors or get me to dig into the context of them, it ain't that interesting. Same shit I've seen a million times. Midsommar I thought was alright. I liked it, but it was pretty much just a remake of The Wicker Man, to be honest, and taken from, once again, a lot of others like 70s horror type flicks or whatever, except done as metaphor for female trauma and all that. Once again, the metaphors were well done, the movie is well shot, it's well directed, but at the same time, the plot is nothing I haven't seen before. So by the end, it was like, okay, the ending is nearly the exact same thing as The Wicker Man. It's the same shit. Okay. And then you got other stuff like X, which I really enjoyed. Now, X is not so much of a art house metaphor movie. It's pretty much closer to just being a standard slasher with just like a little bit of jabs at the porno industry. Other than that, it's pretty much just like a standard slasher tribute to like Tobe Hooper stuff from the 70s. And maybe that's why I really enjoyed that one. I haven't seen Pearl yet, but I've heard good things. But yeah, I really enjoyed X. And like I said, I liked Hereditary. I just didn't love it. And Midsommar, I even didn't mind that one. I liked it as an alright time waster. But you can see like how I'm not like head over heels for A24 stuff. Lamb was one where they took like the metaphor stuff like way too far, where they're trying to throw it out there. They say, well, it can mean anything you want it to mean. But even when you do those abstract like dream logic movies like that, you still have to have something interesting plot-wise to get the audience to really care about drawing their own conclusion from the film. When you do a film to where it's like, well, you can just make your own conclusion. Like, Lamb is not really that interesting. But that was another one I thought was just kind of like, all right. I liked it even less than Midsommar. I thought it was meh. I do like the visuals in that one once again, and the directing was good. But overall, I think that one is probably their weakest one I've seen until this one. But yeah, Bodies. I thought was just okay. I'd give it a 2 out of 4. Most of the movie is pretty boring. Like, when the film starts out, it's about these 2 lesbian chicks or whatever, this black girl and this white girl, and who's like, I believe Russian or something, and she's taking her to like meet her friends. One of them's Pete Davidson. I've never been a Pete Davidson fan. I know some people like Pete Davidson. More power to you. I've never really cared about the guy. No, I mean, I don't hate the dude or nothing, but I mean in terms of his movies, the dude has never impressed me. He does have some funny moments in this though, with the way he acts. Pretty much you got these rich people who are just incredibly obnoxious and annoying, and that seems like it. And I felt like they were trying to do that on purpose, because I felt they were going to like deconstruct the characters or something and make the rich people the villains or whatever, but it doesn't really go that way. The movie feels like tonally confused about what it wants to be, because for the first part of the movie, it's playing as like, for the first act, it's playing as like just a standard teen movie. And then after the middle, it becomes like a horror film. And then by the end, it's like, and then by the third act to the climax, it's like trying to become like a satire of rich people, where the rich people are all in this tense situation where one of them's the killer, or they believe one of them's the killer, and they're all getting took out left and right. And they're like, well, you screwed him, you screwed her, you're a drug addict and all that, and like all their feelings are coming out in the open. Like, this would be interesting if we had got to know these characters more before, or deeper before, in the first act, which they never really did. It was just surface level stuff, where we got to be interested in them to the point where all the secrets come out, we'd be like, whoa, shocked or something or whatever. Or if the movie just like when the secrets and stuff come out, it's like stuff where they're trying to poke fun at like woke culture on Twitter and stuff, like almost where they make fun of like, don't you just call me an ist, you're just copying stuff from Twitter, like Pete Davidson says in the movie, where it's like, okay, you're trying to like make fun of these rich people or whatever, rich like people who are trying to be liberal type stuff and all that, and it doesn't really, like, it starts to feel like towards the third act, which when it embraces the humor more and doesn't even really try to be a horror movie. If you want this to be like a scary horror flick or a horror movie, it's a failure. It would be a 0 out of 4. The reason I give it 2 is because of the ending, which I think redeems the movie slightly, because endings are the most important part of a movie, and it kind of saves the movie in my eyes somewhat. But yeah, they all start getting killed off one by one, or they think they do. And spoiler alert, there is no killer. But in the third act, they start trying to transform from a horror movie to like a satire about rich people, and they're all like making fun of all their rich people problems and all that, and poking fun at it. But it's like the movie switches gears and starts to become more comedic. And then at the last shot of the movie, there's like the 2 girls left who are like the lesbians or whatever, and the black girl and the Russian girl, I believe. And she like looks at Pete Davidson's phone because he was the first one that was killed, meant to be the surprise death. And you find out that there never was any killer. He didn't actually get killed by anybody. He was just trying to do a stupid trick with the machete thing he had, and he accidentally slit his own throat. He was trying to like cut open a bottle like a dumbass and record it. So that actually was funny. A similar type of ending like this was done in something like April Fool's Day from the 80s, where it's like there is no killer. It was just a trick or a game. But in here, it just turns out that well, there is no killer, also similar to April Fool's Day, but here it turns out it's just their paranoia that got him killed. Which that could have worked, could have been interesting if they would have made this movie more comedic. Like if this would have been more of like of a straight up satire and send up of like the rich people in general and making fun of them and all that. This film would have worked much better. The fact that it tries to take itself seriously somewhat for the first half, it's just really dragged. The ending just saves it because it's just kind of a funny joke to end the movie on. Overall, though, the Russian girl in this just acts kind of weird for the sake of being weird, just to make her a suspect. Her acting was okay. Most of the other cast was like okay. Pete Davidson, he did have a few moments to make me laugh. Maybe he could have done good overall instead of just being okay, but he gets killed like so early that he's pretty much just completely out of the movie. But yeah, and this movie has like a weird like exploitation thing going on with like lesbian character or female characters. Like almost every chick in this movie is like either a lesbian or just randomly bisexual or something. Like there's like a woman in this movie. There's like a white girl in this movie who's like flirting with the black lesbian friend who shows up at the party all at once, even though she's got a boyfriend. And then towards the end of it, after her boyfriend's been killed, she's like kissing the black chick, and she's like, "I thought that's what you wanted." I believe that was her anyway. And then, like, a lot of these characters are really just generic rich people assholes, so they kind of blend together. And it's like, the movie just, like, keeps trying to sensationalize, like, chicks kissing, which I'm fine with lesbians. I have no problem with it. If you want to do that, that's fine. It's a horror movie. But if you're going to go that route, then you just need to make this, like, even more of a sleazy slasher. That's what I'm saying. This movie just doesn't really know what it wants to be. I think this movie would have worked much better if it would have just been, like, either a complete, like, satire of slasher films and of rich people, where it just shows how stupid they are and just makes fun of them and has all their like that's what it should have been. It should have been a satire of like slasher films and rich people, where it's like them turning on each other, and by the end you find out, oh nope, he just accidentally killed himself, and like all their secrets come out after we get to know them and all that. And they try to make it look like they're good friends, and then you kind of find out they all actually secretly hate each other, and their paranoia causes all of them to die by the end. That would have been much funnier, and that would have worked much better. Overall, though, the final joke in this movie really saves it. This movie drags a lot in the middle. I was getting extremely bored. If it wouldn't been for like the last joke in the movie, I probably would have hated this. Overall, it's a 2-star time waster. I would never watch this again. But for what it was, watching it once, it's a time waster. Sorry about the light right there. Let me move the phone here. But yeah, overall, watching it, it's just a time waster. I would never see this again, and I don't really recommend it. I don't recommend it to horror fans. Unless you're just like, maybe for teen movie fans, it would be like a weak recommend. But for horror fans, this is a failure. But like I said, watching it once, 2 out of 4, okay time waster. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you again.